Hello, so back to doing some direct proportion, and you might have seen previously either a video or you've just done questions where you have direct proportion questions just with numbers, and so it might be that you have amount of petrol, I think was an example I've seen recently. So 3 litres of petrol cost £17, and what does 5 litres of petrol cost? And you work out what do you times by to get that. Well, we're going to times by 5/3, so we times that by 5/3, and that will work out what the price will be times 5/3, and so it's going to cost us 28.3 recurring pounds. We'll round it down to 33. Okay, so these are perfectly fine, but when you get to GCSE, and possibly beforehand, but definitely in GCSE, you need to be able to work out a formula that links two proportional variables. So here we have two examples that I'll go through, and hopefully you'll see the mechanism by which I'm going to do this. Y is directly proportional to x. Okay, so that means as y gets bigger, x gets bigger. And that means that if you plotted it on a straight line, it would go through the origin and it would be a straight line. Okay, what we don't know is it a shallow line? Is it in the middle? Is it a steep line? So we need to know what that gradient is that links the two together. So we can write down that y equals some amount of x, some gradient. And just to confuse things, we're not using m for gradient, we're just using k as this unknown coefficient. And what's good is they will always tell you one pair of values that works, and this is your key to working out k. So what they want first is the formula for y in terms of x. Well, this is good, except it doesn't want it with a k in it. I have to work out that number, and that's where these come in. So just slip these into the formula that we've got so far, substitute them in. 12 equals 2k. Okay, well, we can rearrange this and work out that k equals 6. Don't stop there. People stop there thinking, well, I've got an answer, k equals 6. But you were asked for a formula, and so this is what we want, but with k equals 6. So the answer for the marks is y equals 6x. That's what we're looking for. Put the k back in, the number of k back in, and there's your formula. That will give you the full marks for A. And now we can use it. Now we can say, okay, for B and C, what is y when x equals 7? Well, y equals 6 times 7, which I believe is 42. But if I've done my mental maths wrong, it's quite late, so you can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. And then part C, they often ask it the other way around as well. What's x when y is 66? So 66 equals 6x divided by the 6. And you get that x equals 66 divided by 6, which I believe is 11. So hopefully you can see there's quite a few things going on, so you have to keep your wits about you. But if y is directly proportional to x, you can write down this. You can say that y equals x, but with some gradient to make the numbers work. And then they'll tell you a pair of numbers that work that you can then put in to work out what that value of k must be, and get your formula. And now you can use your formula for part B and C. Now just watch out, because they can use different language. Directly proportional, yeah, does what it says on the tin. P varies. Okay, well, it just says varies as the, and it varies with this other amount. This is another way of saying it's directly proportional. If it says it varies directly, or it just varies, or it varies proportionally, it means it varies directly proportionally. And you can do the same method. There is an extra word to watch out for called inverse, but that's another video. We'll do those separately. So P varies as the square of Q. Now this is what everyone misses. They just see, oh, P, Q, here's some numbers, I know what I'm doing, and they make a mistake. Read it carefully. The square of Q, not just Q, the square. So when we write down this thing that we had before, P equals some gradient, but it's not just Q, it's the square of Q, Q squared. And now when we substitute our values in, now it's exactly the same. Let's work out k, but remember we've got to square it. So 20 equals this unknown k times 2 squared, so 4. divide both sides by the 4, k equals 5, and the formula for part A is going to be P equals, it's the same thing up here, but now with k is 5, 5q squared. And now we have a formula, we can just use it. What is P when q equals 10? Well, P is going to equal 5 times 10 squared, that's 100, so it equals 500. And what is Q when P is 605? We can say 605 equals 5q squared. Let's divide by the 5, which is far too late in the evening for me to do that without a calculatrice. 121. 121 equals q squared, therefore q equals plus or minus 11. Doing the square root to do the opposite. So I've kind of whipped through those quite quickly. A lot of people, when they start doing these, they have to take it nice and slow. Start off with making your statement about proportionality. So if they're directly proportional, then they're equal to each other with this gradient. If there's an extra word, yes, then you've got to do that maths. If it says the root of q varies with the, I don't know, cube of q, then you'd have to write the root of p equals k, and then the cube of q. You have to do what it says, so read the words carefully, and then substitute in the numbers to work out what k is. That gives you your formula, and now it's just a case of using the formula, substitute and solve. Okay, if you have any questions, then pop them in the comments. Otherwise, thanks, cheerio.